No guitar amps necessary.
No amps whatsoever.
Oh yeah, I forgot to check what's going on this weekend. Anything that you guys know about?
We'll get it figured.
Okay.
Next week is Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap.
Oh yeah, speaking of which, can you go to that?
Are we live?
Are we live?
Yes. Yeah, we've been
Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's Ike from Flipside Music, and welcome to What the Fact, the podcast. You guys saw last week. You guys did one last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we were kind of trying a few different things and changing it up a little bit and going for the podcast thing. We'll see how it rolls.
Yeah.
If you guys hate it, then then it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's different because I'm sitting here with headphones on and everything.
Well, yeah, and being
Definitely.
aware of your own voice is
Yeah,
a little
I'm like-
different.
I think at this point, though, we're like used to it enough from doing the early FAQs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm just not used to hearing it while we're doing
Well, that's definitely that's me.
it. Yeah.
Oh,
well,
Terry
like,
says I'm out of jail. Yes, I did post bail. So
oh, yeah, I guess you guys will have to read chat because it's kind of over there.
I want to turn it this way a little bit.
There we go. That works.
got it.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey Dan, what's happening? Terry, Janice, usual suspects. Yeah, this is definitely interesting.
Yeah. No, it's a little different.
So it feels like we're in a bigger space than we are.
Well, you can definitely hear this room and everything that happens in it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the AC is ripping.
Yeah, we're still getting a little bit of
I
heat
can't
up
hear
there.
that though. Well, maybe a little.
Yeah, it's that white noise in the background.
Yeah,
What?
that's calming and soothing. I would like to think. What do you guys think? Does it sound calming and soothing?
Yeah.
I would imagine you would also probably have to be listening to with headphones to hear that right now, or that are monitors, I guess. But
Or somebody's like, "What? Was my fan on?"
yeah,
So
so constantly
somebody's at
looking
their
for
hou-
this sound.
Yeah, somebody's at their house going, "What?" Well, that happened to me the other day. My nephew came over, and I'm having coffee in the morning, and all of a sudden I hear this weird, like alarm type sound, but it's very faint, and I don't know. Like I couldn't figure out. I'm like, am I actually hearing that, or is that outside? Because I live on my street. There you can hear stuff from outside. I'm like, is that it's coming from somebody's? Is that a neighbor?
Oh yeah,
Because I live in the city, so I'm like, where is it coming from? It took me 20 minutes to figure out that it was coming from Tyler's Apple Watch.
oh of course.
Yeah, which was tucked under a thing, and I go, okay. All right. Anyway, so it might take a while to figure stuff out.
And there it went.
Yeah, it just shut off. Yep.
Well, there you go. All right. So what's the grand topic for today?
Well, yeah, I was just saying, do we have any short topics? I guess before we get to the bigger topic.
Do you guys know of anything
news?
going on this weekend in Denver? Anything of
I haven't checked.
consequence?
I haven't checked the calendar, but I do know in the next couple weeks,
Well, Fu Manchu on Saturday.
Fu Manchu on Saturday.
there
Yeah,
you go.
that's it. You going?
Me? No.
Why not?
I got to work Saturday.
Ah,
I'll be down at River Point. Is that what it's called? Confluence Park. Doing
okay.
Oh,
a riverfront concert thing. Yeah.
that sounds like it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'll look up who that is.
Yeah, so Fu Manchu Saturday at the Bluebird. That's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
I actually have extra tickets I got to get. That's why I was wondering.
Oh.
I'm like, if you're not working, man, I got you a ticket. So we'll see. Then the weekend after that, I know Spinal Tap is coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Spinal Tap movie. So we're definitely doing a store field outing
Yeah.
at the
A
Alamo.
few field outings.
Yeah, so that ought to be fun. Well, yeah, Saturday. So we've got 2 weekends in a row with store stuff,
Yeah.
store adventures, which would be good. And then week after that, Pueblo Chili Festival
Ooh.
down in Pueblo. So if you
Are
wanna
you
get-
playing that this year?
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
yeah, playing on. I think we're playing on Saturday. I don't know, around 3:00 or something like that. I believe we do like a couple hours. We did it last year, just 2 hours straight. Just
That's a fun little festival too, right?
Yeah, if you're looking for something to do in a couple weekends, Pueblo Chili Festival, look it up. It's a good time. You can go get your roasted chilies to make your Colorado pork green chili, or your vegan green chili, or whatever you like for, I don't know,
Whatever your chili preference
whatever.
is.
Yeah, whatever your chili preference is. What I like to do now is, if I'm making like Italian sausage and peppers and onions, I put the chilies in with that.
Oh, okay.
It makes it real. Yeah, it's like it's fusion. I like to say it's fusion. So, yeah.
Fusion
Ita-
sandwich in my mouth.
Yeah, Italian Pueblo fusion. It's good. It's very nice. Yeah, and we're playing. I think 3 to 5 is what we're doing. I got to double check because it's 2 weeks away, so I won't really be concerned with it until I get to the actual week. And I'm just hoping Dan sends me the set list because I still don't even
Oh yeah,
have
so
a
you don't
set
have to
list.
stumble through it. Yeah,
I'm like,
that would be crucial or nice.
Yeah, so hopefully he sends that to me this week so I can just run through this stuff. I have a fair idea what we're going to already do. So I'm just kind of like listening to those tunes again and playing those, and like it should be okay. Yeah, it's mostly going to be blues and blues rock-ish stuff, so it won't be, won't be too crazy.
Oh, there was a rapper in the '90s named Fu Manchu.
Fumachu.
Fumachu.
Fumachu. Fumachu.
Terry, was that you?
It could have been, yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, there was a little known Canadian rapper in the '90s.
From the Ontario area.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever have a rapper pseudonym?
I did not.
I was
No.
Mr. Fresh at one point.
Ooh, Mr.
Mr.
Fresh.
Fresh.
Yep.
I did use Tony Love Party Guy for a while. That was
Tony Love Party.
that was pretty stupid, And that was really more from like a friend of mine came up with that, and that was like restaurant goofiness. I do have when I worked for Alice Cooper. I do have a lanyard that says Tony Love Party Guy on it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just so stupid. But hey, good times. That was what
You could have become a song.
2000-ish. What's that?
That sounds like an Alice Cooper song.
It could
Tony
be.
Love Party guy. Yeah.
It could be. Those were interesting days working there. We had a lot of fun. Early 2000s, and a lot of bands that we had locally that came through too. It was pretty fun.
Is that the Falling Rock Tavern?
It was right next door.
Oh, was it in the big building
The big
where
yeah.
Beta was?
Yeah, that place was creepy. Like there was definitely ghosts in that building. I remember. Well,
There's certainly ghosts now.
oh, I'm sure there is. But I remember because you'd go up the stairs, you'd take the elevator up, or you could take the stairs up, and then it was like this little office that was like you went in this doorway, and there was this office on 2 different sides, and then there was like a room above it too that people could go. Not the stairs were on the outside, and they could go up, and then there was windows and stuff. And I remember one night I was there. It was just me and one other person. And it was late. It was probably 2:30 in the morning, and I'm counting cash, doing the things, and I hear like a door open, and I hear. So I thought somebody was going up to the next level, like the other person that was there, and I'm like, "Hey man, what?" And then nothing. And I'm like, I walk around, I go up, and I don't see it. Nobody's there. And dude was downstairs. Then he comes back up, and I go, "Dude, were you up here?" And he goes, "No, man." And I'm like, "All right." And I wasn't the only one that had like weird experiences in that building. So whether it is or not, or it's 2:30 in the morning and we just worked 14 hours and your brain is a little fried.
You heard something and put something that, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if that was the thing. I didn't get attacked.
I mean, that's an old building in downtown Denver.
Yes, it is.
So-
And it used to be a chicken. Years and years ago, it was like a chicken factory. Like they,
Well, then there's
Put chicken back together.
right. They didn't assemble the chickens.
Yeah.
They disassembled the chickens.
then there's thousands of chicken souls there.
Yeah, and so that was the whole thing. Is that it's
Chicken
creepy.
Soul Collective Ghost is.
Yeah.
Chicken Soul Collective is my new band name.
They're like, we are Legion.
When that place had a weird smell, like all the time, especially in the basement. It just had this really awful, like it always smelled terrible. So I
Like
don't
a
know.
million dead chickens
Yeah, that's what we were
trapped
kind
in
of like.
eternal darkness.
Yeah, the basement was definitely creepy, super creepy. Like I wouldn't go there. Like after we closed, I'm not going in the basement. No, there's too many dark shadows and corners for entities to.
You're like, it could have been
lay in
spectral
wait.
things. It could have also just been assholes looming in the
Yeah,
corner.
well, you never know. You might get somebody, stashing themselves in the bathroom for after. But you had to check everything. But then the one year we did one of those haunted houses where you walk through and they have all the jump scare stuff, and we did that, and that was a perfect, like,
Perfect spot for that.
yeah, because it was already creepy, like big heavy doors. Yeah, sorry, I'm just not.
I spent a lot of time in that building, but it was far too loud to hear any doors creaking.
No. That's what happened after. I remember going into it after Cooperstown closed, and then it got, taken up by other companies. And I remember going in there once because we were downtown, and we walked in, and I go, "Oh, this is awful." Yeah, it went from being a hard rock place where there was a lot of music and bands and stuff playing to just what you did, and I'm like, I gotta get out of here. I'm like, this is not for me. I'm like, I'm gonna go to the El Chapultepec instead. I'll see you guys later.
This will sound like a foreign language to you guys, but they had the first Function 1 in the United States, which was pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
What happened to Function 2 and 3?
Well, those haven't been.
Those are subsequent.
Those are coming still.
That was the first Function 1. What is?
It's a PA.
Oh, okay.
Very clear sounding speakers.
To make sure you get the thump
Oh, yeah.
properly
Oh, yeah.
done.
They trusted it on version 1.
Yeah.
You don't want it till
It wasn't
into
beta.
like 2 or 3.
It wasn't
at
beta
least.
1.
Yeah.
It was the beta
launching.
Function 1.
Now launching beta 1. What do we got here?
Apparently, rainbow butt monkeys.
What is this? Like, did you work with Cooper when he blew off the concert in Toronto? No, not that I mean, he was. You got to remember, this was a restaurant that his name was part of the appeal of the establishment. So he wasn't like an
But he wasn't in there running it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Ellis wasn't in there flipping wings, flipping burgers and tossing wings and stuff.
Did you get to meet him?
Yeah, I met him a couple times. When I worked in the one in Phoenix,
Where he would come in and flip wings.
well, he went in there more often because
He
he
got
lived
hungry,
in,
you know.
because he
he
lived in
lives-
Phoenix.
Yeah.
But it was funny because he'd come in with like his, he's a scratch golfer. I mean, he's an amazing golfer. But he'd come in with like all this Callaway shit on because that's who sponsors him. And he'd be like the ugliest short golfer you've ever seen. You know what I mean? And then the next day he'd come in, and he'd have black leather pants on, a red shirt, hair teased out, makeup on, and he's like the coolest he's Alice. He's like the coolest dude. That being said, he was very cool. Like every time I had a chance to chat with him, he was just down to earth, super cool dude, like sarcastic, very sarcastic, but like not sarcastic in an asshole type of way, but like
Yeah, it wasn't like antagonistic. He was
he was just a really cool guy. I remember I was
Yeah.
working one night and it was slow as shit. It was really slow, and he happened to come in to pick up food, and I was like, "Hey man, how's it going?" And he's like, "Easy money tonight, man," and I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not always that way," But it was just like stupid little things like that, like he being sarcastic but being cool about it, like hey, easy money tonight. There's nobody here. But yeah, there was we had some interesting stuff that happened. I think I've touched on it before when I talked about it. But yeah, he was a cool dude, cool place. The one here, I wish it would have survived, but there was some internal management things that were happening that just didn't
work.
work.
Oh yeah, I remember. I think you've told this story to previous watchers of the show.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, because I don't remember that you told me bits of that story, but when you told the full thing, I was like, okay,
And there's probably
that
some
was a little
stuff,
more than that. Yeah.
There's probably some stuff I left out because of the kids at home that
Yeah.
watch. Or we want to be good to all the demographic
Yeah.
that is participating. But it was still cool, and Ellis was cool. I liked him. He was a cool dude.
And so to segue into our topic for today,
Yeah.
which
otherwise I'll
is
just keep talking about it.
amplifiers,
Yeah.
at Cooperstown, they had concerts. Would they allow big rock and roll stacks? Would they make you go direct? Would they?
No, back then. So I mean, that was like around 2000, 2001. Okay, so we're talking almost 25 years ago. It's a considerable amount of time, but
When the half
That-
stack was still king.
there was plenty of bands, and it was all rock bands that played. So we didn't have there was no bluegrass band playing, and there was definitely no like jam band, hippie bands playing.
Or singer-songwriters.
Singers, there was no singer-songwriter stuff happening. It was all, it had to be the rock side of things. Even like indie rock wasn't, it was kind of more in the hard rock metal.
It had to be like, yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember the band Sick from the early 2000s?
The name is very familiar.
So they were pretty popular, and they played there. Rexway played.
Definitely no Rexway.
I think Brother and Fast played once. So there's a bunch of that.
Denver Legends.
Yeah, like all of that late 90s, early 2000s bands were, a fair amount of them played there, but it was funny because at one point, I would get a lot of CDs and stuff. And I would listen to them while I was counting money, and some bands I'm just like, no. Like, not a bad band, but this is just not going to go over here.
Right.
So, anyway, the question was the segue into that shit. So, yes, it was still half stacks were king. It was Marshalls, Mesa Boogies, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Dual rectifiers.
Yep.
JCM 2000s, probably.
Yes. So, I mean, I think it was still going strong. Amplifiers were still going strong back then. Now, since then, we've had so many advances in, modeling and this and that, and all of the technology has gotten,
Considerably better.
considerably better. So,
And more accurate.
yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, there was
the
solid
gear
state.
itself is better in terms of how it functions, how easy it is to use, but I think a lot of that stuff, like the accuracy, has gotten so much better. That's
Oh, yeah.
kind of the main shift.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. In 2000, you had what? A kidney bean shaped red thing that had
yeah,
insane
yeah.
mode
Well,
on
and I
it.
think there was a certain level of compromise that you certainly had to make for that convenience then, whereas like now that the convenience to payoff ratio is a lot better than it used to be.
Oh, for sure. It's a full-on choice at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One,
well-
it's not purely a convenience choice anymore. Like there's legitimately good sounds. So
Well, I mean, there's a lot of touring acts that are using the Helix stuff or the Kemper stuff or, Fractal, so you're
And simply for ease of use via MIDI, which we were going to talk about, but
yeah.
right. We were going to talk about MIDI, but then I'm like,
Yeah,
all right,
maybe
well,
we'll do
you
a-
guys have a good show.
Yeah.
See you later.
Maybe we'll do like Monday or something, depending. We'll figure out a day to do a MIDI like show and tell episode, because I think MIDI is something that'd be more interesting to actually show people because like telling people a bunch of weird shit and being like, oh, you could do this, you could do that.
it's very
Yeah,
abstract.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll just pick a pedal and we'll show you what you can do with MIDI. But anyway, back to amps and
But yes, those larger touring shows, it's, there's one person backstage hitting go on the lighting, the video, the pyro, the scene changes of the pedal boards and stuff, and it just makes sense in that context.
Right. And I got a friend that plays for like the Guess Who. He played with Lou Graham from Foreigner, and he called me, and this is when we did have Kempers, and we got him a Kemper because he's like, man, I'm tired of just showing up with like basically a fly rig and having to plug into something that I have no idea what it's gonna sound like. He goes,
Backline amps can be hit or miss for
yeah,
sure.
and he goes, I'm just tired of showing up somewhere and I know what my board sounds like, and then I have to plug it into something, and now it doesn't sound right. So he was just like, if we have the Kemper, then I can just plug into whatever, just the front of the house or the power or where, just a powered speaker, and it's going to come through the same virtually the same way. He might have to tweak a little bit because of whatever the speaker was in the cab or something. But other than that, that's doable. That's EQable quickly.
Totally.
But yeah, I don't know.
But then there's genres that are, the amplifier is a voice of the thing. Like the heavy metal that I do at the Crypt, a lot of that is the visceral experience of being like pummeled by an amplifier.
Oh yeah, where it's like you could almost feel
Absolutely.
that air pushing, because that's the stuff what I remember when I was a kid, and we'd get up close.
You
And, like, I'm
actually
surprised
feel
we
the
didn't-
air moving past.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we used to sit right up there. The amp, the amps used to be right there. That was kind of the barrier to the stage. Mm-hmm. And that shit, just chewing up your insides because you're standing in front of
Yeah.
a ridiculous amount of wattage. And then you're hearing that, and you're getting the low end stuff too.
Like, I don't remember, that reminds me of, it was either Eric Clapton or David Gilmour had a story where they were like, oh, I remember times when I could stand in front of my stacks, hit a chord, and lean back, and the air pressure would hold me up.
That's,
Probably a wee fella then, whoever it was.
I mean,
I don't know if that's actually, if physically that can be done. I mean, we could
test
Google
it.
it.
I was
We
gonna
could
say,
test
yeah,
it.
We could test it. We'd have to get Dylan's rig in here, though.
We need to get a hold of the Mythbusters, see if we can get Jamie and what's the name? Can't remember blanking on their name. Oh, Adam Savage. Yeah, we need
Yeah.
Because
that's
actually,
it.
Adam Savage still has a channel. That'd be awesome to actually ask him if that was
Be like,
physically
is it-
possible.
but I
it
think in that
possible?
same article, they were like, it was intoxicating. That was
Well, that
Oh,
was
the rush of that. Yeah.
that feeling of being like enveloped by sound. And it is. Like, I've seen Sun. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I felt Sun.
Well, I think when you're connected to the amp and your own sound in that way too, that part is also like a different thrill. Even just from like being in the audience is one thing, but
Right.
feeling your own, you're 'cause I mean,
connected to the thing.
Yeah, you're literally manipulating electricity to make this massive sound that's literally shaking this room or whatever it is. Like, it's a fun. I mean, it depends. Like everybody gets. I think it's the same rush dudes get from like sports cars.
well,
Like
yeah.
I kind of get that whole
Or
thing.
climbing,
yeah,
or-
it's that same
or
thing.
biking
Yeah.
or certain. I mean, it's their form of the adrenaline rush,
Totally.
and it's different like you were saying, between being the musician making the noise
Yes.
and being like the consumer of the noise. And I think we've been both, and it's really interesting because there's something really cool about taking an amplifier and it's really loud and just
There's a feel. There's
just going after it. It's a lot. It's a lot of fun. And on the other side, being, a viewer, listener, and then just being in that bubble. Because I remember years ago when we used to go see the hippie jam bands at Red Rocks, and it was always like, you got to be in the bubble, man. Like, you got to be in the bubble. That's
Oh,
where
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
that's-
and that was like basically if you were outside or just a little bit past like the soundboard at Red Rocks, then you were out.
You're out of the bubble.
You're out of the bubble. You're not getting the full experience. And I remember once going to see Widespread
I feel
Panic.
like hearing Robert De Niro explain like in the circle, outside of the circle,
in the
but
circle,
bubble,
yeah.
out of the bubble. Yeah.
But yeah, you had to be in the bubble. And I remember one year, a bunch of friends used to always, they were the people that used to run and do the tarp thing. And I remember one year, I think Jimmy Herring was playing, and he was so loud. Like, it was incredibly loud. It was piercing. I'm like, I think my head is going to be sawn in half by what was happening. Now, granted, it could have been drugs. That could have been possibly a
It's like
thing,
there could have
too.
been things exacerbating.
There could have
the
been
feeling.
other things.
Yeah.
There was one time where I'm like, I can't be here. And I had to get to the side because I was like, I can't be. This is too much in here. But it is an experience. I've been that way for other bands where you're down in that area, and it's like, man, there's something.
Oh yeah.
There's something magical, definitely.
I mean, to me,
in that.
yeah, seeing Sleep that way, like especially when you're like you said, because like they still do it kind of old school. All, the amps are more or less the stage barrier, and so when you end up getting in front of that, and you can feel like every pluck of the bass, and it's like it's just a totally different feeling. And it depends, obviously, if you're into that stuff or not, but I think when you're enveloped in it, like to me, it's one of those things like you get so enveloped in the sound that you it kind of overwhelms the other senses. So to me, it's kind of like like even getting like it's almost like getting buzzed a little bit.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
you,
totally.
you start
Oh,
to
yeah.
care about other things a lot less in that moment, and that's kind of the thing that's appealing about it is like just getting that little sensation, and you never know because it's like it's not going to be sustained necessarily. Sometimes it's just that particular riff or that particular sound that hits that spot.
Or that one song is just.
Yeah.
So I remember when we went and saw Slift. That
Mhm.
was kind of like that. I
Yeah.
remember I was just like, I kind of closed my eyes for a bit. And I was leaning against the bar, and it was just.
Leaning.
What's that?
We were talking about leaning earlier, but go ahead. Sorry.
And it was awesome because it was just like all of this stuff was happening. It was, I mean, I don't know.
No,
was a
but
great
that is
show.
that. Yeah, it's a hard to explain sensation, but like it is a feeling that kind of changes again if you're making the music or listening to the music. But either way, it's a fun feeling. So.
And so that's a thing that, maybe some of these younger guitarists or people just getting into guitar may not even get to experience because they live in an apartment or they don't play in a band, so they don't have a rehearsal space or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, having that visceral experience, is it the same?
It's not.
No,
It's not the same as having headphones on.
no. To
But-
me, like headphones
I mean,
make
there-
me
it's-
very self-conscious playing personally.
But I will say, you were talking about that, like, getting lost almost like in a drug-induced state or whatever. I've felt that with the headphones.
I mean, it's different.
Yes,
Because it's...
You're,
with Eric's assistance, but
well, I think you're closer to it, but it's still not the same as. And I think you guys have all like been on a stage. You have your amp behind you. You have monitors, and then like you're like it all seems like it's, and then you just get that rush of it all being around you. And I think there's something different. It's not quite the same with the headphones on,
For sure.
as standing there with your earplugs on. But
I wonder, so they make these there's these things for drummers or for in-ear monitor wearers who want to feel. They have like packs.
the induction
It's like
stuff.
it's a pack that sits on you and like the bass literally like vibrates against
if
your
you wanna
skin.
Feel, that's kind of cool. I kind of like that idea.
So I wonder if
I'm just thinking of dirty jokes here. I'm like, okay,
but like thinking of the future of amplifiers and where this is all going, like maybe that's a thing of like it's a headphone body pack experience.
Yeah, they just tap right into that bone in
I
your
think
ear.
you're one step away from those like quiet discos or whatever they call them.
I mean, those are pretty fun. I've been
I don't know.
because they're my
It's fun.
favorite part
I
of
think
those.
it's fun either way. It's probably fun if you're in it and you're like, oh, look at this man, yeah. And it's everybody can hear that shit. But I think it's also fun if you're a cynical bastard like me that's sitting on the outside going, look at these people.
yeah,
Look, what is happening here? Like all of this, you know what I mean?
Well, I can't remember. Like, I think it was a King of the Hill episode where like they're all walking around with like their little chai lattes.
Yeah.
And like with the headphones on, and like that was the thing, and they're like they walk in with all their disco clothes on, like ready to actually go. It's pretty funny.
Well, I've seen videos of like that, where there's people in a field and they're all dancing around, but there's the person that's filming it isn't tied in with the audio, so it's just like a bunch of people silently dancing around. And I'm like,
yeah.
Just like,
this is brilliant. Yeah. Well, it's like anything else. If you watch a video with somebody dancing around without the music,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny. You know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, there you go. Right there. All right, we got some questions and stuff. in
oh,
here, so
Eric, I read that in an article in Premier Guitar, or no, Guitar Player years ago. So I didn't see it in that interview.
Well,
But I mean, that's been
I
a
would
known
never.
story though for a while, I think.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So what's RJB asking?
yeah. I was just saying we actually got a few. Looks like we got a
Yeah,
few
let's-
good
let's
comments
roll
over
up.
there. Look up now.
Is Fender coming out with maybe a new digital lineup of amps, possibly?
Not that I'm aware of, but then again, stuff drops all the time. It's been a few years, yes, that they've been out, and they've done well with the GTX stuff. but I don't know if they're going to do any type of, upgrade yet. At least nothing that I'm aware of yet.
And I mean, keep in mind, it seems very far away, but it is right around the corner. NAMM will be here before we know it, so we'll get a whole bunch of new
Yes.
stuff in January for sure.
Oh yeah. There's already stuff like
Trickling out.
there's things I've talked to salespeople or sales people about, and they're like, yeah, well, we got a really cool thing coming out. Sometimes they tell me and I can't say anything, but yeah, we'll definitely see some more stuff. And I think that's just the direction of where everything's going too, is going to be more digital. I think, like we were kind of talking about before, is that we'll probably see a lot more of the tube purists are going to be out there doing the thing, but I think you're going to see a lot more of that stuff probably in the studio. If people can get away with lighter rigs that still sound authentic, which, I mean, the modeling stuff has gotten so leaps and bounds better than it was even 5 or 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're going to see more of that, as long as the touch and feel
Well, and
for the
that's
player is still there.
And that's where I
then-
think the genre part also gets into it, because like we actually do get a lot of guys that do play mostly rock, and one of their biggest complaints about going with like no stage setup is the inability to get controllable feedback. Because there's a lot of guys that like that's part of their sound, and honestly, like I get it coming from, because I mean, honestly, coming all the way from like the late '60s onward, using feedback as part of the sound has kind of been a thing, and like that's part of the electric guitar, at least for for a lot of rock artists. So that's one that like I've always thought was interesting, and it's hard to get over. Like you can do it with a solid state amp, but you still have to physically have the presence of an amp in the room to kind of get that feedback part of it going. But
Or you can get something like the new Boss pedal that comes with the super feedbacker.
yeah, it's
But that's also not the same thing.
But even a feedback or a Sustainiac or whatever, any of these other things that are out there to sort of do it, it's not quite the same thing. Because like there's different, because like especially at least in my experience, there are different spots you'll get where you get different types of feedback.
So what that made me just think of was we got a lot of these genres based on technology at the time, right? So will the lack of amps inform that next generation of rock players? Will there maybe become new genres because they can't use feedback? Or what, like that's a limitation, but I'm just trying to see through,
Well, I think
it's-
because of those limitations becomes a new
Yeah.
thing, possibly.
It may come back around though. Like we might see in the next 10 years that things swing so heavily digital
Well, because
that
there's
in another
obvious
10 years people are going to swing back around. It's even going to be harder to find
Tubes.
tube stuff.
Well, even though because you could still with a Strymon Iridium, a power stage, and a cabinet, like you can still get that same effect. It's more when you start removing, kind of like when Jacob was bringing it up earlier, like before we did the show, talking about places that are either instituting, which I don't know if that's really a thing yet or not, but like if it's a church venue or if it's a venue that's instituting a no stage volume, requirement. That's where you start running into that stuff. Now, granted, at church, I can't imagine the lack of feedback is an issue.
I mean, feedback
I
is
don't think that's a problem at all.
No.
I think that's a product of the devil, so they wouldn't want that anyway.
I don't know. To be honest, I think Jesus would have loved some feedback, but
I think so.
Probably.
Yeah.
Jesus was probably real cool.
yeah, he probably would have liked Motorhead or something. Yeah.
I would guess he'd probably be good with it. I mean, that's part of his stuff is everybody's cool.
Yeah.
So I think he would have been all right with the feedback.
But that is one of those things. Yeah, because to me, honestly, that is one of those things that would be a little more, I guess, unnerving. Because to me, whenever because I've only really played in with headphones and or monitors, a couple of times. But when you can only hear certain things, or you hear certain things more than others, to me it starts to feel a little disconnected, which some people want. Because Eric's even described, sometime I can't remember. He said he was doing one gig for a while where he literally just wanted to hear the drummer and he didn't really want to. He didn't want to actually bond with that band. He just wanted to get in there,
I just wanted to
do
do
his
my job
job.
and go.
Yeah, he literally just wanted to get in there, do the job, and get out. So he only wanted to hear the drummer. And so in that instance, it was something where he's like, "Yeah, this is great." It's just him practicing with a drummer. Doesn't care about the rest of it. But to me, it just depends on what you're kind of going for. Because like you said earlier, like some music is a job, but some music is a passion. It just depends on what you're, on what you're going for, what you're trying to do at the time, and what tool's the right tool for that job.
Yeah, and I think, if you're in a heavy band, I mean, but that's part of it.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
And the same thing that goes with the in-ear monitor stuff.
Well, there's a
It's
fair
like you
amount
may
of-
not want to have, some bands are just like, I don't want the monitors. I want to feel all the energy on the stage, and that's part of what we do.
Well,
Then there's other stuff that
Yeah.
I can understand where they want it to be very crisp or tight, or it's a big production or whatever the case may be.
Or
Yes,
a
guys,
click.
Guys
Yeah.
are way across from each other because
Well, and that's actually a good point. Like, the more that music is written on computers, the more, I would say, the more people are relying on click tracks and or tracks in order to play. So there are times where, like, you're playing it, but you're basically a machine that is there to crank out the tune exactly the way it was recorded. You're not meant to deviate in the slightest, and that's sort of what that stuff's for. Then there's other artists that are kind of going to obviously reject that and go the other way, and that's where like the hippie jam scene obviously is always going to be prevalent, I think, because there are a lot of people that like to
they
to
don't
not
want to
take
be,
the overly processed route.
That's like, so that I don't know, I have an opinion on that. I get it with the click track and all that stuff, but also there's some, if you listen to some of the greatest music ever recorded from the past, the drummer is kind of,
Oh yeah.
Well,
Like,
either
have you ever heard
swinging
Zeppelin
around or-
gridded?
yeah,
It's not great.
Well, even Hendrix. I mean, Hendrix is literally on his own time. He's commanding the band, so the band goes with him. But like, there's a lot of that stuff that doesn't, it doesn't snap to a grid.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound right if it did.
And I think we miss. I think there's some magic that's left on the table because of that.
Well, yeah, because like I personally, and I think all of us here, especially considering what you do, like I think we all enjoy hearing music made by humans, performed by humans. That's what we want. That's what we care about. The imperfections or whatever that come along with that is part of it. And I think that's what, like, to me, I guess the more that some of this slips into that stuff, I guess it's getting into the living in sin. I feel like it's a slippery slope into living into some kind of musical sin, because you start to sterilize things and you start to remove the human aspects of things, and like I don't like that.
Then
I
it could
guess,
just be
but
AI,
personally,
which we have out there too, which we're getting away from the whole amp thing. But that's where, it can get, it expands out that far.
Well, but no, that's sort of what I'm saying though. Like, you start to remove the stage gear, you start to implement certain ways of monitoring, you start to invite these things where people are like, oh, wouldn't it just be easier if we just ran a click? Oh, wouldn't it be easier if we just ran this part as a track? Oh, wouldn't it be easier if we all just did this?
Right.
And like, it just ends up being
we'll just press this button to play that part, which is
right, and that's
they
what I
do
mean.
already.
Like, yeah, but again, then everybody's locked to that. You can't deviate from that. You can't jam on that. Like, you're just locked in. You're there again. You're there to process a part. And so, like, for me, it's.
But sometimes you're an artist and you can't put a band together, so Mac works just fine.
Yes.
Well, yeah, but I think that is I think that stuff, and even including the AI stuff, is the template, or it's an outline. Like, here's an idea with a general feel, and that can give you close to what you want. But I really want a real person to put their magic on it.
Yeah.
All right, so Tim said something earlier about there's been some great advances in the electronic stuff and on the tube side. I think the tube side integrated with digital stuff and interfacing and all that.
Well, yeah,
stuff.
'cause I would say, like,
what
the
Rev does is
Yeah, the Rev is to me the absolute best of both worlds. Like,
Yeah.
you're not sacrificing one element for another. You kind of get all of it. And other than if the tubes go out, you're kind of screwed. But that's the name of the game with tubes.
Yeah, and that's what you signed up for.
Yeah.
But Tim also said, "Oh, hey, Brody, what's happening?" Tim also said Ola
3 milliseconds, huh?
Yeah, rejected. What is that?
Quad cortex.
Yeah, over the quad cortex because of a 3 millisecond lag. I mean, you got to be on it if you're really
Well,
3 milliseconds.
I mean, if you're shredding like that and it's fast, you may actually feel that.
I don't know though, because like I mean, I know this is dumb to relate it to computer monitors, but like a frame is about 14 milliseconds. So like a frame when you're dealing with like any kind of, if you're doing any video editing, most people are familiar with that stuff, and also the processing like on your computer screen. Usually a frame, you want it to be in the 14 millisecond range. So anything that's lagging behind in terms of like when you're playing Call of Duty, that's why like people want screens that don't have any latency that's longer than 14 milliseconds because that's about the range that you feel it. So like 3 milliseconds, I don't know. I'm like that's
pretty tight.
That's I mean
Yeah,
maybe
that's pretty
maybe,
tight.
but that's really hard to perceive that. So I don't know. I'd have to. And who knows? Like you said, for some of that stuff, I could imagine. Because like, I would even say like the dudes that do a lot of like Meshuggah, like those dudes would not, like those dudes would notice that. I know they would.
Yeah, that probably
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
But if you're playing slow blues, that's never gonna.
Yeah. Yeah.
The drummer ain't even
Yeah.
close. I mean, that's all loosey goosey. That's what. But that. Okay, if we talk about like blues type stuff. But that's where actually the magic is with a lot of that stuff, is that it's not perfect. It's not timed right. You listen to old like Lightning Hopkins stuff. It's like those old dudes are just like, I'm playing the thing, and you can tell. And then the the
John Lee
timing,
Hooker, like sometimes you listen to him and you try to count it and you're like, what
you
the hell is
can't.
he doing?
Yeah, or they just go and they're like, we're going to change now.
Yeah.
You know, and
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
there's the pattern with some of those older blues dudes was
like,
like,
oh, we
hey,
did
they're
this 7
doing
times?
they're
Okay.
doing their finger picking thing, the old guys, and they may change, they may not.
They're just
gonna,
going off a feeling.
They're going to
Yeah.
change when they want, and the drummer has to, and the bass player kind of got to be with that.
Just gotta play.
But that's where some of the magic happens, is in those
Yes.
those things that are unexpected, and it's not, if it was a click, that's going to be a boring blues tune. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there's a bunch of people that are like, blues is boring anyway. But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be even more boring without the soul.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think to me, on the topic of the amps, I guess that is what it is. Like, I mean, things are going the way they are, kind of regardless. So I think there's a certain level of acceptance that obviously is going to have to come with that. Because, like you said, even tubes are getting harder to come by. They're getting harder to maintain. But there's still like I don't know what you would call it other than like a romanticism of those types of things. Like it's the same reason dudes collect old cars. It's it's just like the thing is what it is, the way it was made. Like there's certain things that appeal to humans because it's a physical thing that was made in a certain way and it sounds a certain way. But is that going to be the prevalent thing to just get out there and do a job? Or even honestly, like for touring musicians of any genre, solid state, like if you want to save your ass, solid state is the way to go. Like that's just straight up, that is just an easier way to go. And it's safer for you.
It's convenient.
It's more
know.
convenient. You're not going to damage your gear. So like keep your precious stuff at home and get out there with like the solid state rig if you have to. You can still do 99% of what you want to do. But I think it is one of those things like when we're talking about how the artist bonds with their material, that's such a personal thing that it's hard to determine that for other people. Because like you said, even with the Tone Master amps, like those are getting so damn close that it starts to not really matter that much anymore.
Right. And if they could do it, it has the right feel.
Yeah.
And it accepts everything as it should.
Like pedal wise. And
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, I love this amp, and this is what I usually use, but I throw a fuzz pedal through it, and through a tube it sounds great, but when I put it through the solid state, it sounds like
Fizzy
what happened.
pop.
Yeah.
So as long as it has the same capabilities and feel and sound as, I think, and it's lighter, and some of the demographic for tube amps and stuff is getting older. There's definitely, it's just like anything. You can't say, oh, the younger generation doesn't use it, because there's certainly a percentage that value that, but the people that really use it are the older generations, and as things progress in technology, you may see that a younger artist has a tube amp at home, like you were saying, for recording, but if they're going to play the high dive, they're like, screw this, I'm just taking my Helix because I could do the same thing and not worry about this thing that my grandfather gave me that sounds great getting stolen or something like that.
Right. I think that's because there's also with the amp side of things tying into the genre stuff. I think there's obviously a certain amount of hero worship when it comes to the amps. A lot of times, like that's one of those things. Like, a lot of people, the thing that gets them into a certain amp is a certain artist, and that's part of the whole thing. So the mindset, I guess, that goes into it is also a huge part of using real amps. But I think it's one of those things of like, again, if you're trying to, I guess I'm thinking of like tribute bands. Like those are instances where sometimes like I would assume their job would be 10 times easier with a modeler. But if they want to provide people that experience of, oh, this is pretty close to what this band would have been like in their prime, you seeing them at a, whatever, like giving people that experience, then like the real amp goes a long way to like get that feeling across.
Yeah, here's my JCM 800.
Well, and that brings up an interesting like tribute band versus cover band, which could be another topic for another time.
That's a whole other thing.
Of like,
or original music.
Because like, are you going for the tone or are you going for the look?
Right.
Because the tone is easily captured through any of the digital things.
You can do all
and
of it,
much easier.
Right.
And no one in the audience cares. But if you're like a full tribute band, do you need the Marshall full stack because that's what insert artist
I mean, if
here
you're
used?
doing a Bon Scott era AC/DC band, I think if you're going to really, you can get all of those sounds, but boy, if I walked into a
the
place
real deal
and I'm
is,
going to see a Bon Scott era AC/DC tribute band and I walk in and I see Marshall's stacks, I'm going to be like a little child going, oh my God, it's going to be so great.
But if you see 3 Mustang GTXs up there,
I'm probably going to be a little aggravated. Well, it's like that open, when did we did that?
When we did the Battle of the Bands, Judge.
The one guy just big line 6, and the two of us are like, oh.
Well, and it was like the 100-watt model of the
Spider.
Of the Spider.
Yeah, and it sounded bad. It didn't sound.
It's a Spider,
Yeah,
but it was like
the band wasn't bad.
The band was not actually. They were
and
very
the
good.
Guitar player wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But if he would have just brought like a proper amp instead of that,
and that was another case of where, kind of like we were talking about, like how certain frequencies travel differently. So where we were at, all we were hearing was like treble and presence. We weren't hearing like whatever he was hearing and what we were hearing were not the same thing. And so it was just like it was bad. But to me, that is one of those. Yeah, like it ends up. Because, even, like I said, with the hero worship thing, with your story about the dude being held up by the amps, like that's a romanticized legend kind of thing at this point. And, like, obviously there are going to be dudes out there that, like, oh, man, I want to do that. Or even, like, Grant from In the Company of Serpents, local band. He's a dude that, like, you can tell, like, it tickles that little kid thing in his head where you, like, want to mess with people. Like, him, like, his volume... And like literally making it feel like your eyes are liquefying, like that's just that hits that spot for him of like it's just like a little kid with a toy. So, but anyway, are we getting?
No, how are you making comments over here?
I think it's James. I'm gonna blame it on James.
But James is also in there.
Yeah, James is there.
Well, then
and
Eric.
you're in
It's a
there.
combined effort then of James and Eric, but we can blame it on them.
You're like, how did you guys get
This
in
person does not speak for me. Whoever
It
this.
says pineapple does not go on pizza. Well, it's a true statement.
I actually do agree with that statement.
I don't mind
depending
it
on-
sometimes. It's not a thing I would get every day, but
Get out of here. Beat
What's the
it,
expression?
kid.
There's a reason God made those countries so far apart. I don't know.
Yeah. Beat it, kid. No pineapple. Terry says it's why I never liked the Line 6 stuff early on because it was all digital. It's why I went with the Viper because it was digital and analog circuit.
those Bogner era Line 6s,
Oh,
those
were actually
sound pretty good.
Yeah. Well, and those cabs, actually, if you can get those cabs were great.
Yeah. I mean, that was not that was a great collaboration.
Yes.
We got Darrell in here. Got to chime in near the end. Says, whatever gear snobs. I was trying my best. And the amp was my grandpa's.
No black olives on
Oh,
pizza.
black olives?
No.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No.
Yep. Yeah, we got these two guys logging in on some computer in here.
Yeah.
We've been hacked. We've been hacked. Anyway, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
don't
think
know.
we can go on and on with the amp stuff. If I don't know. I just think it's going to be interesting to see how everything kind of goes in the next 10 years. Because
Yeah.
we're in such a spot right now with technology and what it sounds like, but even the hybrid digital analog, but all the stuff like the stuff that Rev's doing is really good and how they're voicing stuff.
But then it's got all the technology too, the torpedo, it's got MIDI.
Well,
Yeah,
I was
so
going to
it's
say
going to
there's
be
probably
interesting to see what happens.
there's probably a certain number of artists too that, depending on their situation, are probably exclusively used to using plugins.
Oh yeah.
So like in terms of creating their music, so like that's in a whole other thing of like if that's what you know and that's what you're comfortable with, then that's what it is. It's like whether they want to experience the whole big amp thing or not. Because I guess I'm thinking like Goots is kind of an interesting exception to like two different rules. Because like he doesn't necessarily fit in with people his age, but he obviously doesn't necessarily fit in with people like your age either. Like even though
Who's that?
Goots.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 'cause,
Sorry,
like-
I was reading the.
Oh no, yeah, because I was like, because Goots is an interesting case of like, he's not necessarily pursuing big ass half stacks, but he's also a kid that like he loves, a nice tube amp. Like that's part of his sound, and the artists that he loves all recorded on, for the most part, all recorded on tube amp. So like he's a younger kid that's very much interested in that side of it. Whereas like if someone like him had only grown up with plugins, then maybe that's what they're used to, so that's just what they want to default to, and they don't care about the
But
amp
I mean,
side of it.
he's into that too, though.
He is,
with
but
the recording
he's-
stuff. So see, he's a
that's not
prime
what he's
example of
created
the
with.
future, though.
Yeah,
He's kind of a prime example of the future
yeah,
because he understands all the technological side of it, but then he also can really appreciate
for sure.
like the tube stuff and go, okay. So I mean, he's somebody, that's
But
what I'm
that's what
saying
I'm
with
saying,
the
though.
generational
Like
stuff is going to be very
he
interesting.
appreciates the past, though, and that's sort of what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of people his age group that don't necessarily
Oh,
care.
yeah.
But
about
he's
yeah.
I was gonna say he's not hung up on the past stuff.
No,
Right.
he
So
appreciates
like that's
it, though.
that's
Yeah.
the thing of being like, well, I can still use these UAD
Yeah,
amplifier plugins
Mm-hmm.
because they do the job,
yes,
and I don't have a Marshall or
Yeah.
whatever. But then he loves the tube amps because of the thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like when
Yeah.
he's doing his thing, the way he wants to do it with his preference is different. But there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of people his age that, like I know, like we have a few that come in that like all they're used to is headphones and plugins, and like that's what they're comfortable with, and that's
Yep.
fine. But it's just like if that's, the blending of the two, I guess, is where I would hope things go, and I'm sure it will. Again, it's going to depend on what genres are popular, because like obviously there's a lot of bands today that are still trying to get those 70s and 60s sounds.
Yeah, and I see them on TikTok and Instagram and stuff. Like, oh yeah, they're definitely going for that '70s vibe. But I mean, and I think that's because there's a lot of authenticity in that.
And the
But-
younger
but-
people,
But younger people are younger,
well,
and
and
there's more modern shit that they're going to be interested in that we're definitely not.
but I think there's
Yeah.
a group in that younger generation who are tired of manufactured music and things of that nature. So they are like, well, what was before?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
more
Well,
organic?
you're always going to have that. You're going to have that pushback because even when I was a kid, like new wave and stuff like that, and the rockers were like, we will burn that synthesizer to the ground. Get that thing. Oh, a drum pad? No. You know.
Well, and that's actually
if
something
you showed up in the '80s with a drum pad to a rock band,
Well, no, but that's
they would have
something
thrown you
I-
out of the rehearsal space.
and
Like,
now
get
if you
outta
don't
here.
have one,
Well, and that's
You're
what I
not
was
even
gonna say, is,
worth
like,
your salt.
Yeah. Now I find it interesting how many things are like, how many of those, because you're right, like even when I was a kid, I still remember like metalheads and synths. Like even, because I mean, what, when did, was it 84 that Jump came out?
Yeah,
So that
'cause
would have
there
been
was a whole
6 years.
faction
That
of
was
people are
6
like,
years before I was even around, but I still remember like as a kid that like when adults would talk about like definitive lines of like this is what crossing the Rubicon in music was when Eddie Van Halen played a synthesizer, and I'm like, it's still funny to me that like now like I can't imagine any band of any type having a major hang up of not using something. But like back then, that was the thing of like all of your credibility literally could hinge on your choice of an instrument for one part of one song.
Yeah, and the only reason Eddie got away with it was because he was Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
And the solo was pretty killer.
Yeah.
But the thing is, none of us wanted it. To be honest, like if you took All Weight and Jump basically off of 1984, it'd be great. And I like Jump. All Weight's okay. But Eddie was using some synth stuff even back during like Women and Children First. Mm-hmm. I mean,
he's a piano player first.
Yeah, that he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there was some of that synth stuff was even back into Women and Children First. If you, I can't remember the name of the tune, but the stuff is in there. You know, it's just buried way back where you're not, you know, where you're not paying attention to it because everybody's like, no, we need more guitar.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out with us and talking amps. I'm sure we'll chat more with that kind of stuff. Next week we'll figure it out. If you have a subject you guys want us to explore or have our opinions on or bullshit about in some way, let us know.
Yeah.
Anything you guys want to suggest about improving the setup? Obviously, we've only done a few of these, so we're kind of figuring it out as we go. So feel free to, chime in.
Yeah, because we're here for you. If it wasn't for you,
If it wasn't for you, it'd be not you.
if
So-
there's no scuba, what's this all for?
Right, Scuba Steve. Hey, Scuba Steve. All right. Well, we got to get rolling. Dylan, you have any departing
Words?
words of excellence?
No, other than stay tuned Monday. We should have another live demo.
Yeah, probably MIDI stuff or something.
Yeah.
As well as Maris Monday. We'll see if we have a guest appearance or not since Eric's out. I'll see if I can wrangle
Possibly.
up somebody.
I might come back the other so I have the full band experience.
Yeah, he wants to. Well, Eric should be here. Yeah.
Yeah,
was
I
gonna
want to
say,
do the full band
yeah.
experience with so it'll probably be the weekend after or
Yeah.
the Monday after.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, everybody have a great weekend. We'll catch you guys on the flip side.